transaction.
Boom.
Finally,
How did you find that transaction? How'd you get that?
I sold them a house. I'll go back. Open house. I met a parent and who had a fire that damaged their house and they needed a place to live. I negotiated a deal for them to live in my listing for about 6 months, insurance paying for it. Then later sold the listing. Then they have now referred, that couple has now referred me 3 or 4 transactions.
Wow.
So their kid is one of these transactions. I sold their kid a house in 2017 for $325,000. I just resold that for $560,000 and then put them into $1 million house in Folsom.
You had
Boom.
for use you and free. Look at you, such a big boy now.
I know. I think they forgot who I was.
All right. Anybody online want to share something good? We try to get 3 every week.
I'll take those my largest listing too.
Okay.
So we finally got all contingencies removed. Seller signed today.
Boom.
Either tomorrow or Monday. No, that's not the brewery. The brewery hasn't sold yet. That'll be my next big one. If anybody
we
needs
go.
to buy a brewery, don't forget.
What was your largest?
I think that was at 1.2.
Oh, damn. I gotta go back to work.
Cindy, what'd you have?
So pretty soon it'll be like 3 or 4.
I finished my contest with Brent. I was trying to beat his record of 13 in escrow in 1 month. I didn't beat Brent, but I got 11.
Yeah.
Accomplishment, and one of my closings just happened was Brent dared me one time to call for sale by owner, and I did. And this was the 6th house we just closed together by that for sale by owner that Brent dared me to call.
Nice.
So that was a big accomplishment.
Nice.
Lori, I think you had something too.
How exciting. My first over $1 million right now, and I will know more today, thanks to Alicia and her program that we talked about
Wow.
last week. So yeah, 1.55.
Holy moly, congratulations.
It's right, we're right in the middle of negotiation offers, and thanks to Alicia's program.
Awesome.
That's what started, and I am flipping it to something else, but I think this week, since our last meeting, you guys ended up sending me like 5 leads on that program. Like, so keep talking about it, because the clients are into that.
We should just got one of my clients that was approved with SAFE, and nobody ever gets them away from SAFE. And that client isn't ended up buying the house that we put an offer on, but he goes, I love that lender. I'm gonna use her. I was like, she'll match whatever they're doing. So
I met mine at an open house this weekend, and literally that next day we were already like going for it.
Wow.
Everything was going in to Alicia, and it was like,
Great client.
oh my gosh, this is so great.
So we've talked about open houses in the past. Would there be value if like next Thursday, I think Brent's not going to be back next Thursday, but if next Thursday we went over how to find open houses, like I can teach you how to find an open house 7 days a week. Like, yeah, there needs to be some value in that.
I need that.
Yes, we need that.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that next week. Today we are covering listings though, so let's get rolling. Oh, by the way, my tell me something good is I have over 350 people registered for this made for more mixer. Yeah.
Nice.
So if you haven't registered and you live locally in the Sacramento region, it's down at Crawdads. It's tonight from 5 to 8. It's if you haven't been to Crawdads on the water, it's gonna be a river. It's gonna be freaking incredible. It's a great opportunity to meet new people, expand your sphere, maybe get some deals out of it. Valley's working with the buyer out of it, so it's the real deal. But Crawdads tonight 5 to 8. And
That's awesome, man.
yeah, so it's gonna
Crawdads is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I'm coming, I'm gonna abandon all my children to themselves, and hopefully the cameras will be their nanny.
You should. Cindy can roll up in her boat. There you go.
Wait, are you going to the boat?
Oh gosh. All right. Well, back to the 11 closings in 1 month. Let's go back to that. All right. Mortgage update.
What kind of folks did you invite? All those people? What kind
Yeah.
of folks
So
did
it's
you
open to
invite? I
everybody,
didn't hear
but
that.
But for the people that typically come, there's a lot of real estate agents, a lot of lenders, a lot of title and escrow, a lot of vendors, and there's a lot of business owners in the community. So there's people ranging from insurance agents to jewelry makers to auto manufacturers like, mechanic shops, print shops, just a lot of local businesses.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. When will we have another one?
Awesome.
Will we
All
have
right, mortgage
another, will we have another one of those?
Yeah, so we host this the 3rd Thursday of every month. Right now they're at Crawdads. The next one's probably gonna be Crawdads as well, but I will definitely keep you updated about the next one.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, hi guys, I'm Alicia Spearman with Cross Country, and every time I come, I tend to want to bring you something you could do a video about that'll possibly get you leads, right? A lure so you can go fishing for clients. One thing that recently changed in the last month that I think is really, really important is we previously had to count 1% for clients with student loans of what their balance was. So if they owed 100,000 in student loans, we had to count 1,000 a month in for payments, okay? They just changed that. Now they're allowing us to count the actual income-based repayment plan that they're on. So the student loan companies will say, oh, you just graduated, but you're only making this much. We're gonna make their payment according to how much you can afford. So now we can officially count that. So if they graduated and they owe 100 grand, but the bank decides, oh, you can only afford $100 a month, now I can count $100 a month, not 1,000 a month. Huge difference. If it's a 0 on the credit report and they're deferred and they're currently not making any payments, again, we used to have to default to 1%. Now I can get away with 0.5%. So it gave all of our people who were, inundated with student loans who couldn't buy, now it opens that door back up for them. But they're not just gonna know and call you, trust me. You have to announce this like it's a huge deal and be like, oh my God, if this was holding me back in the past, like now's the time to call. But you'll be shocked because that's a lot of people. So a lot of clients, the minute I send it out, I've been getting an influx of everybody like, hey, and that will trigger people who want to sell too, because they couldn't buy because of that. Maybe they started going to school after they bought their first house, so they haven't been able to refi or do anything. Now that could relieve them where they can afford to purchase. So I recommend doing a video and throwing it out there and seeing what you get.
Awesome. That's a game changer, guys.
You
Let's
guys
make
have
a
any
video.
questions for me?
Yeah.
Are you gonna change when the government releases everyone, because right now they stopped everyone else to make their payments, is that gonna change when
They just, I can't predict the future, but they just released this. I can't see them just releasing it and then changing it again.
Right. Okay.
These are what the guidelines that we're allowing. So if there's government deferment, like government deferment for mortgage payments is being done in September. So we're supposed to get a ton more houses released. But that has nothing to do with student loans. So I haven't heard anything about them changing student loan requirements to pay. Student loans, they tend to, if you can't afford it, they tend to grant deferments, period. So if people are showing hardship, they just have to submit their finances and they can get student loans deferred. The issue we were having is even though the banks decided you can't afford to pay, we were still having to count 1%. So they were screwed to get a mortgage. That's where the guidelines change, is now we have a set amount we can count that's less. Does that make sense? Some of the clients who are at 0 and per month, and we have to count 0.5%, I'm like, let's call them and get on an income-based repayment plan. That is cheaper than the 0.5%. So if people could, it'll be based on whatever they can afford. Does that make sense? So that's what's different than what we were stuck with in the past. But I don't know of any. I don't know anything about government student loans because I don't have student loans.
Yeah. The government said.
I have a
You have
question.
to pay.
and they're
So
still that way.
similar to the mortgages where
Okay,
they didn't
one
have to
sec.
pay.
Is there a
Yeah.
name for this change?
No.
Okay.
There's not a specific name.
Okay.
Alicia, we got a question online.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? So my question to you is, do you know how that's calculated? Is it like debt to income, or like how are they coming up with that? This is what you can afford, because if you're making a high income, but you have high assets, or your monthly payments are higher, like, do you know exactly how that's calculated?
No, I don't know exactly how it's calculated, but I'm a huge believer. I just pick up the phone and I call.
Okay.
Hey, here's what I need to know, and they'll literally walk you through it. So if you have a client that is Navient, or there's multiple different student loan companies, I'm big on calling student loan companies because I have had a lot of clients who have had lates over the last year, let's say. Well, I call and I get it back deferred. I show that there was a hardship. Oops, sorry, we weren't paying. We were really in a financial hardship. Here's how I can show you we weren't able to afford this payment. Then they'll back defer lates and it'll fix people's credit, right? So that's my experience with student loans. But this is just a new change, right? I can call in and say, hey, I'm out of curiosity, I'm thinking about getting a job, but how is that going to impact my monthly payment? I'm gonna make $75,000. What would my payment be? They'll give you the formula. Some of those student loan companies actually have a formula online when you log in. So that information is readily available. It's either a matter of a phone call. Now, you can call hypothetically to any student loan company and ask the question. You don't have to have an account with them.
Okay.
But if you were curious for your customer, that's what I do all the time. I'm like, who's the company? And this is my favorite thing to say. Well, do you mind if I call them right now? And I call them through it and I collect the data. But bottom line is it's gonna be based on a budget. They're gonna have a formula like this person can afford X amount in their finances, right? So there is gonna be a pretty simple formula.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Alicia, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best phone number?
916-256-6486.
6486. Awesome. Let me see if I can, it's hard to do all this.
Anyone else have a loan fall through or run into an issue during an escrow or any other problem? Nope, you can.
Oh, I do want to give Alicia a shout out though. She did something really amazing. So we're in escrow on a deal and it came in, what, 35,000 under asking price. And we removed appraisal contingency. Didn't think it would come in that low. I don't know what's going on with Diamond Oaks, but nothing is ever crazy over there right now. And so I'm like, oh my God, 35,000, they're gonna freak out. How are we gonna get through this? But Alicia worded it in a way that made it sound so much better and it was totally fine with it. She's like, oh my God, you're so in luck. Like it only came in 2% above what we offered on it, and 2% sounds a lot better than 35,000. And I was like, damn girl, that was good. I'm gonna use that every time. Because they're like, okay, like, but if you tell them it's 35,000, like that sounds, they're not gonna be able to calculate the 2%. So good job.
An engineer, actually.
So I worked the numbers, so it only impacted the client by 10 grand, not 30 grand. So they only ended up paying 10 grand more than they planned. So it's 100% delivery, guys. So when I called them like, oh, I'm super excited. Did you see the appraisal? It was only 30 grand difference. And the great news to you is that only makes 10 grand out of pocket difference for you, not 30 grand. Isn't that so cool? And they're like, okay, yeah, literally. They're like, okay, yeah, I guess that's really cool. I'm like, it could have been way worse. I'm like, I researched all the comps and the problem is people don't want to leave this neighborhood. There's just not enough sales. Everybody wants to stay here. That's the problem. And that was the truth. There just wasn't enough comps. There was like 6 in the last over 6 months. So that's not enough for an appraiser to do. And so I once I broke it down to them like that, and I'm like, don't worry, the minute it closes and records, that's the closed value. Nobody will ever know what this appraisal came in at. It's your own little secret. You know, then they realize it's not as big of a deal. It's only a big deal when we make it a big deal.
Yeah.
When we make it something else and we're like, isn't this great? They're like, okay, this is great. And they're, and that's the truth.
I will say, props for Alicia too. Alicia and I closed one about a month ago. It was a veteran law enforcement client. So anybody who doesn't know me, my husband is a veteran and in law enforcement. So I have a little bit of a big soft spot for them. And we just had a really crappy appraiser. I'm pretty sure he just hates women in general. He didn't follow the rules. He broke the rules. He was just a walking hot dog. He was not a nice person. He needs to remove the stick on his butt. Anyways, that being said, he was so not a nice person. That being said, it was an off-market sale. It was this amazing property, but they literally had already said they were going to move. And Alicia and I both probably gave up the most we've ever given up ever just to make it happen. But at that closing table, he's in his uniform. Wife starts crying. Aww. She's like, had it not been for you and Alicia, literally to the dollar, we would not have been able to do this. I gave up half my commission. My husband was like, are you freaking nuts? I'm like, I don't really care. I'm in this. I don't have to make this money. So if I'm to bless a family, it's going to be that family. And that same family came out in a big way. They brought their horses and were in the parade for my husband's coffee company. Because it was so sweet. But again, Felicia hadn't stepped up too. It took the two of us together to really but it changed that family for forever. They're so happy.
Did you use that form? Was it you that gave us that form, or was it? Yeah. Did you
Trust me, I know what I'm doing with all that, and I had a million conversations with Ryan Lundquist. It wasn't that. The dude's just.
Yeah.
Every appraiser loves that form that I give it to. They're like, thank you. So
he was just a kid.
Yeah. If you'd like that form, request it on the Brent Gove team page and we'll throw it up there. So it's been posted many times. All right. Good thing we are recording. Oh, wow. No. All right. So real quick, Heather, while you're transitioning, here, I'm going to make you the host, Heather. So I'm giving you
Okay.
all the power,
Okay,
and then you're gonna have to give it back.
maybe.
All right. So while Heather,
Not like the Democrats.
while Heather's queuing it up, real quick, we have a special guest we actually have EXP royalty in the building right now. Her name. So how many of you have popped into the broker room to talk to our EXP brokers? Right? We use it all the time, but how many of you have actually met a real estate EXP broker in real life?
Friends with most of them.
Right? Not everybody has. One sitting right back there next to Barry. Her name's Angela Coffer. Yeah. So coffee with Angela. We live up in Lincoln, correct?
I do.
Lincoln. So we actually have 2 brokers. There's a total of 6 here in the state of California for EXP. We have 2 that live within 10 minutes of this office. Angela's one, and we'll be introducing the other one once he finally comes around. His name's Ryan. But during this presentation, if you have any questions or broker questions that are just percolating in the back of your mind, think about them and pitch them. We'll do a Q&A with Angela at the very end of this meeting. Sound good? Awesome. So back to you, Heather. Go ahead and take it away.
Hey guys, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good, because I came back to work, not working remote anymore, and my office has dual screens and it just trips me out. So I want to make sure you see me and you see my screen. Okay, I am Heather Dobro with Chicago Title. I'm right next door to you guys. We're at 925 Highland, Suite 340. We will be moving downstairs in about a month, which is awesome. So you guys don't even have to take the stairs or elevator to pick up your commission checks. So I am a sales executive for the Placer, Eldo, and Sacramento County areas. And it's my job to help you grow your business so that when you have business, you can direct to Chicago Title. I work with many of you. And today I wanted to show you what I offer my realtor partners. Now there are some of you that don't work with me. So I typically don't offer my tools that don't direct business to me, but because I love you guys and have a great relationship with the Brent Gove team, I am offering that to you today, even if you haven't given me an escrow. I'll make you feel guilty.
How do they get a hold of you?
Using it.
How do they get a hold of you, Heather?
What?
How can people get a hold of you if they want to use the?
Okay, so I'll put it in the chat, but for you guys, 916-223-5578, or my email is heatherd@ctt.com. And you will need to contact me direct to get access because I don't approve people that I don't know. So if you give me a call, shoot me an email and say, hey, heard you speak or saw the recording at the Brent Gove meeting, cool, I'll let you guys sign up. But today the goal is to chat about how to get more listings. So I'm going to show you how. I want to preface this that I know you guys are super slammed. You may not have, Cindy just said she had 11 in escrow. She doesn't have time to learn this tool. So the cool thing about this is that if you sign up for it, I can do the work for you and I can share what I do into your account. So as long as you sign up for the account, I can share the farms or whatever you want into your account so that when you log in, it's right there and you didn't do anything. It's just there. Okay. So I'm going to show you how. So does anyone have a sample address that they want to give me? I don't need the numerics. I just need the street name.
Pat, Patton.
Batton?
Yep.
And where is that?
Did you just give her a Del Paso Road? in Del Paso?
All right, Citrus Heights.
Citrus Heights. Okay. It's not coming up. Batton?
P is in Papa.
Oh, P. There we go. Okay, Patton Avenue. So again, I'm going to say if this is a good area, you can't steal it from him. Okay. So it pinpoints where it is at. I can change to satellite view or map view. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm just going to see what's going on around here. So I'm just going to draw out this area. Okay. Just click as many times as you want. And again, more than likely, I'll be doing this for you. So this is what I'm doing to share to your account. Now it says there was 64 properties. I'm just going to make it a little bigger just so we have a little more data to show you. So let's pretend he wants to check out what's going on in this area. Okay. I'm gonna hit continue. And then I like to keep it super broad because the goal here is to find likely next sellers. So I like to deselect everything and I'm just going to select single family residence unless it's a condo or whatnot. Okay, so I just want to let you know why I do that. I like to leave it broad. Okay, so just follow the prompts. I'm going to name this Go Demo and go from there. And all of this is free right now, what I'm showing you.
Does it give you the turnover rate too in the community?
It does.
Nice.
So once it spits me back out, okay, I'm going to click on Gove Demo right here. So if you just at a glance wanted the turnover rate, it's right here. Okay, but I'm going to click on what we named it. And from here, if you wanted everyone, maybe you wanted to farm that, maybe you wanted to door knock this also links up to our Walking Farm app. So it's really great for open houses. You can see who the likely next sellers are. Of course, when you contact me, I'm going to give you the app name and how to access that. But I just want to let you know that this is the desktop version and it does link up to a mobile app. So if you wanted all of these people, you can export it into any of these fields. You know, if you're using a dialer system, if you want to print labels, if you're using, I know some of you guys are using Sync and KV Core, it can export right into there, which is awesome. So I just wanted to show you that briefly if you wanted everyone. But did someone say something? Sound like a baby. I had hear like a baby.
Sorry, I said yay about the KV.
No worries. So what I just did is I clicked on snapshot view. So it's going to give a breakdown of everyone that we drew out. But I want to draw your attention to Gold Farm. Gold Farm is the likely next sellers in this area. So it took 213 homes and it is saying 15 of those folks are likely to sell. Manu has gotten a listing from this. I pulled data for Cindy in this platform, a couple of my non-EXP people, they've gotten listings from this. Because this platform has said 70% of this Gold Farm list will sell in 1 to 2 years. So if I'm an agent, whether I farm or not, why don't I just pull or have me pull a radius around some of your recent closings so you could just reach out to those likely next sellers and tell them those sexy stats that you just sold. Hey, I just went into escrow in 24 hours for 40,000 over asking. Anything like that, you don't have to reach out to everyone in that whole area. You're just focusing on the Gold Farm. So this is gold. I'm obsessed with this platform. It's so much different than other title companies, what they're offering. Some title companies are saying likely next sellers and the data is just a year or a year plus or a year minus of the average length of stay. This isn't. They haven't revealed their algorithms, but this program is a little more stalkerish. So they're seeing who's having babies, who's getting married, who's dying, who's getting divorced, you know, they're stalking people. So, hey, it works. It's no cost for you for the addresses. If you do want to pull the trigger on purchasing phone numbers or email addresses, those are 8 cents a record. So, which is super cheap if you're just contacting those 15 folks. So again, this is rad. You don't have to learn it. All you have to do, and I know some of you have, is text me, screenshot me a map. Hey, Heather, I want the likely next sellers in this area. I could either email that to you or send it straight to your active farm account, which is incredible. And it's a live farm tool, so you'll never have to reorder anything. You can see on this page, it updates about twice a month. So it'll let you know the last time your farm was updated, which is cool. So you never have to reorder anything. It constantly lives in the system and will notify you when there's changes within that farm. So
Heather?
Yeah.
You said that there was a way to export, like I have a RedX, and so there's a way to export straight from.
Yeah, if it's in like the CRM export right here, or if you're using a dialer system,
Okay,
you would download it into the Vulcan dialer format, and then that that coincides with RedX.
Excellent, thank you. And
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would you mind putting your phone number and email in the chat bar?
Yes, I will put that in there. But yes, it's an incredible platform. So if I'm an agent and I'm anti-farming, because it's expensive, it's time consuming. Let's just focus on the likely next sellers, or maybe you want to focus on the out of state owners. There's 5 of them, so I'm not asking you to reach out to 213 people. You can be strategic on who you want. So if you just want the likely next sellers, all you have to do is click on Gold Farm, and there they are.
This is
Which
a
is
big
awesome.
handy thing to use too, if you have multiple offers in a listing, so you had 5 offers, but only one gets to win it. That's a great way to go to the other houses and go, hey, we have buyers that missed out. Would you like a pre-approved buyer? That's a good way. Or use that tip that we were talking about last week from Elizabeth Riley with the coupon. Go mail them a coupon. They're not going to care what realtor. They're going to save that coupon, put it on the fridge, and you could use different ways to get a hold of them to be more creative. I do something different for the out of state sellers than the owner occupied. We separated out and we just did a mailing. And so we did, what was it, a postcard to the? We did a postcard to the owner occupied, and then the non-owner occupied, they're out of state. We did a letter, and someone may have made their assistant do it handwritten because the opening rate is a lot higher. So, and I've written them in the past of my own. So if you don't have the money for an assistant, or use your kids. Because I write like a kindergartner, so it doesn't matter if I write it with kids, people probably won't be able to read it, but if it's handwritten, you'll get a higher open rate too.
And Heather, is that 8 cents per phone number or?
Yes, 8 cents per phone number and 8 cents per email.
Okay, so, and then do you typically get multiple phone numbers and emails, or is it one per?
Yes, yeah, you'll get multiple phone numbers, so you'll have to weed through the accuracy, and they're about 70% accurate. But now that door knocking's open, most of my clients are door knocking the likely next sellers or putting them in like a core facts campaign, something on a monthly basis. You also can export into Facebook audience. So if you're savvy with doing Facebook leads, you can have it in Facebook format, create your ad, and it can go from there. I do want to say, because I know some of you are thinking it, you can't just call me and say, hey, I want all the likely next sellers in Roseville. That doesn't work. This program works when it's less than 3,000 homes. So you're going to get much more accurate data when we're drawing out a smaller area instead of saying, hey, I want all the likely sellers in 95678. Well, that's not accurate. When you start doing that, that's when the numbers get skewed, and they're probably just going to pull the average length of stay, who's everyone at 11 years, that's lived there or whatnot. So make sure it's a smaller area that's manageable, because like I said, they've stated that 70% of that list sells within 1 to 2 years. So you're going to have to do follow-up for, say 12 to 18 months with these folks. But yeah, like Jen said, that's a great idea to reach out. Hey, I had 8 offers on this property. I've also used this platform with Jen when she used to use me. Come back, girl. I called you out. I used to use this. Jen would call me and say, I have a buyer that wants a 1-story with a pool with 5 acres. We can work backwards. So I can do that farm, or my customer service can do that farm, put it in here of what your buyer's requests are. And then I can click Gold Farm to see who the matching houses are for the likely next sellers. And it may just be 3 people, but that's 3 people that Jen can contact instead of reaching out to everyone with a pool and 5 acres. We're just going to reach out to those that the data says is likely to sell. So keep that in mind too, when you're working with buyers. Now that open houses are opening up, you're going to have much more buyer leads. So we can be, a little more strategic with that.
Freaking gold, right, guys?
Yeah.
All right, Heather, just so you know, we also handed out for everybody that showed up in person this beautiful flyer.
Oh, fantastic. Oh gosh, that's a super old picture.
Oh, that's right?
That's our old address. That's Gibson Drive, but the email and phone number is still the same. So you guys can screenshot that. And then Vincent, I will put my contact info in the chat.
Perfect. So we have her phone number. Reach out to her if you want to do this. How many people, like out of all the agents in the Roseville area that you work with, Heather, how many people are actually using this tool?
A lot are using it for 1 month and then they give up. So
I tried to use this last year and my account kept getting screwed up. So I would love to use this if you would help
Yes.
me walk through how to make my account work.
It's awesome. So it is kind of annoying. It's a 3-step process on how to get access. So if you don't sign up from the registration link in like 72 hours, it will cut you off. And if you worked with another title executive, we do monitor who's using our tools and not using us, because I can see if you're using Placer title, Stewart title, whatnot. So it could be that. I don't cut people off without having a conversation, you know, with you. So it could be something like that, but I am happy to help you get you set up. And like I said, if you don't want to learn the tool, just get an account. Let me know what you want and I'll send it over there.
So the reason why I asked how many agents are using this is, one, this is like ninja stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of agents are using this, okay? So the competition rate's low. These leads would be exclusive to you if you're following up with them. If they give you a call, you're not sharing this with realtor.com. These are exclusive leads to you. It's free, right? If you're door knocking, if you're mailing them, yeah, there's a cost, but the data, to get the data is free. And then the last thing I wanted to share is most people fall off after a month. So just keep that mindset that this is a long-term play. This isn't like,
it's great for newer agents that don't have a sphere. I mean, many of you, Jen, Cindy, Darcy, Brent, I mean, they're referral only, which is phenomenal. But if you don't have that sphere, let's just pull a couple areas and build, you know, that gold farm. And those who are sphere only, we could pull the gold farm around recent closings, you know, like this one just was 15 likely next seller. So you could do, you know, a mailer or phone call or have your assistant do it for, you know, super cheap.
The fact that you can download that Facebook audience too, that's so cool. Think about that. You could do like a little video and send it just to those. Or if you get text messages, don't just send a text or email, like send them a video or do something different to stand out. But you could easily take that Facebook audience and you do an ad just targeted to that audience. It's super cheap and super effective.
So you
and it's just like anything, like you asked John, like who's using it. I mean, I have about 3 offices that are my bread and butter, so to speak, that have been introduced to this, but the market's crazy right now. Everyone's busy. So, you know, there's not a lot of people that are super consistent with these stranger leads. So, yeah.
With that Facebook audience idea, you could also take Alicia's market update, right? About, hey, you're struggling with getting pre-approved because of student loans? Well, I have a solution for you. Give me a call, right?
Yeah. And you can, you know, pair it with, here's the absentee owner. So I have everyone in a non-owner occupied home that maybe you could share the cost with, you know, your lender and hit them both ways. The renter, let's get them into a house. And then, you know, that absentee owner, that landlord, you know, may want to sell.
Yeah, California. Yep. All right. Any questions for Heather before we move on?
Heather, does it have any kind of programs on there for my investors when we need to flip properties? Is there a way to get like distressed properties only in certain areas or anything?
So there is for the small charge of $19.99 a month, there is a potential investment category right here and potential flippers right there, which is pretty cool. But I mean, I never really pushed the paid platforms. So as far as distressed, we can chat about it. We have another tool that can pull those at no charge, those that have defaulted on their taxes, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of see, hey, maybe they haven't paid their property taxes in so many years. It's up, you know, to this amount of money. So there's a way that we can finagle the data for the investors without you paying.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather.
You're welcome.
Pause for Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Reach out to her today, by the way. Like if you go, I'll do it tomorrow. You won't do it tomorrow. Reach out to Heather today.
We all have to text her at the exact same time.
Yes. We'll make that ding, ding, ding. Put your contact information, will you please, right now before we move on, so that way everybody can see it.
Okay, let me find the chat. Oh, I need to stop sharing my screen too.
Yeah, you got all the things to do right now, and give me.
I know where I can't even figure this out. Okay, here you are. Okay, stop sharing, and then chat. Do I have to make you the host again?
Yeah, just hover over Gove Enterprises.
There you are. Make host. Okay, perfect. I'm putting my stuff in the chat right now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, that was pretty freaking cool, right? There's so many guests. I don't know how we're going to get to everybody today, but I know Chris, we haven't seen Chris in a long time. Chris, you have anything you want to share? So, and give a little background about yourself for those who don't know.
Well, yeah, I own Brent Gove's Property Management, and I've been preaching for quite a while about not giving your tenants a notice to vacate because you want to sell the house, right? That's something that got the number of landlords in trouble and gives the tenant 2 years really to come back and sue when they figure out, hey, that was an illegal notice. You can't give me a notice to vacate just because you want to sell the property. Well, we're still under a moratorium eviction because Houston still has the state of emergency on. But we're kind of expecting that to come off. They've extended this moratorium 3 times, but it does expire at the end of September. And we're thinking this might be the last one. So if you got a property with a tenant in it, and you want to sell it, and it's not under rent control, like a single family home is not under rent control most of the time. Just check with us. Go ahead and give them a notice now to vacate August 1st. That's what we're doing now with properties our clients want to sell. We're finding that it's about 75 days out, but we're finding that when we think this, our attorney called me this morning, said, I think I'd go ahead and endorse that you do this. So that's the way to get a tenant out. Cash for keys is considered not legal by many attorneys. There are a couple in town who write a cash for keys deal. Never try that on your own anymore. That's those days are gone. So I'm speaking Tuesday at Placer County Association of Realtors. I'm the keynote next Tuesday. I'll go into this in more detail. So it'll be live on Facebook or show up live. I guess we're doing those things live. It'll be the first
Real actual people there and everything. You should have seen the women's event. We had what, like 250 women packed, well, in there.
Oh man, I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
By looking in there.
Okay, well,
Will this be recorded?
pardon?
Will this
the
be
P card.
recorded?
Well, it'll be on Facebook, so I don't know. Pete kind of usually records everything. And so, yeah, it looks like maybe a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's not a train.
Awesome. Any questions for Chris about properties under rent control,
Yeah, I'll tell you what,
tenant-owned
the other
properties?
thing I'll throw in is, please don't have tenants call me when they leave a place to live. We're getting hundreds of calls. We don't even take the calls anymore. We're one of those companies that frustrate people. They're coming by the hundreds. It's all got to be done online now. I looked yesterday, we had 19 properties on our available list. One of them did not have any apps on it. The rest all had pending approved apps. We have to leave it up there till we get the deposit, but then we put one. And then 2 more came on yesterday afternoon, and one of those went off. So, it's really hard. If you're a tenant trying to find a place, or your buyer needs to move or something, I get it. It's tough, but please don't have my cell phone. Stop. It's something I just have to send to the website. And go to Zillow. Zillow's the best place to look for around.
Yeah.
It truly is. That's it. Awesome. Rent Pros, Property Management.
They're awesome.
Pardon? I've got cards. And rentpros.com is my website. And Chris at rentpros is my email. All makes sense. And I give my cell phone 916-899-4668. Cindy has it on speed dial.
I use it all the time.
Oh, I appreciate it. I love those kind of calls, questions, stuff like that. And so, yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Does this only apply to single family residents or duplex, multifamily, commercial
When you get
property?
into multifamily, now you're under rent control. So duplex is not owner occupied, it's multifamily. A single family home, if they own it in a corporation, it's under rent control. Tell them to get out of the court. We don't put your property in a corporation. That's not what you do. So some people think you should. That puts it under rent control, makes a mess. And so get them out of that. And yeah, most single family homes are not under rent control. I'm not sure. Just call, we'll ask you a question.
So it sounds like the distinction then is not its location, what city it's in that determines rent control. It's whether it's single family versus multifamily.
Statewide, it's single family versus multifamily, but there are municipalities that have been allowed to make their own rules to an executive order put by Newsom a year and a half ago. So there's a couple of cities around that have, they can't make a single family home subject to rent control. It's not owned by a corporation. That would be against our California Constitution. So location really, from the strict perspective, no, what dictates whether it's under rent.
I mean, I just relocated from Southern California. Everything is, there's like Santa Monica's rent control, and that's one of the wealthiest places in Southern
Well,
California.
the whole state is under rent control right now. And because of the executive order, many of the components of rent control have extended to single family homes. We're expecting that, like the eviction moratorium. We're anticipating that to drop off here at the end of September. But like I said, they've extended it 3 times. We can't, we're thinking this may be the end. Newsom just came out with a plan to pay everybody's rent who was behind on rent, to pay all their rent. And some of you are going, what the hell? And you're right. I mean, think of these, what a bunch of dumb suckers that went and paid their rent, right, during this time. And now the government is going to pay it. So you got people who could pay their rent, didn't pay their rent, now it's going to get paid for. Those who got a second job, worked really hard, they get nothing. You know, so we start. But that's our state of rental right now. So it's so hard to get a place.
What doesn't apply to commercial?
Yeah, that's a lot of this does apply to commercial eviction moratorium. It's argued that it does apply to commercial. Commercial tenants, if you want to get out, they can't do it. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. I have a lot of millennial clients right now who are listening to everybody under the sun, like I normally do. And they all have decided to change their mind, and they all, for their first home, want to buy duplexes or triplexes or fourplexes. And of course, they've never even owned a home, let alone been a landlord, so I think it's a terrible idea. What advice do you give to these young people right now who think they see it as an investment opportunity, and that's not the way I'm seeing it, obviously, right now? What would be your advice to give these people?
Well, okay, so if you buy a duplex and you're going to live in one side, that other side is not under rent control.
Okay, so they do live in one.
That's
side.
a good choice.
Okay.
The big problem with it not being a good investment right now is that the prices are so high. You know, the cap rates, the return rates are down at 2%. You know, but look, if you need a place to live, you know, a place to live, and you're a millennial, go get a duplex and offset part of your mortgage. Give that little formula 10 years and watch how happy you are. To go out and buy a 5-plex or 6-plex, I don't know. I mean, I'm making offers on properties full price, boom, and some cash buyer comes in at 10% over it, it's gone. So you know, they want to beat it. I'm like, no, it makes no sense like that at all. It makes no sense at all. So
would you keep, because I've got a lot of investors right now in the Bay Area, you know, just
they're
up
buying
here.
like crazy.
And so, you know, I've got a lot of people on our team who are working on a lot of off-market deals, but you still saying, what I'm seeing is still keep them in the good areas, the Rocklands, the Granite Bays, the Folsoms, where people are going to continue to have their jobs, and they're going to continue to get rent payments. Do you think that's still what you're seeing right now as
Yeah,
well?
I think so. And the other part of the market that's opened up that we never would have looked at, I mean, is some of these properties in Del Paso, these really awful, stinky places that, you know, I won't even manage. I'm making offers to buy them because Section 8 has come in now and said, and they're paying those rents, and they're paying phenomenal rent. It's unbelievable. And guess what? They're not under rent control when it's a government, you know, tenant. So, I mean, did you know that Section 8 will pay up to $4,300 a month?
Oh my gosh, what? Yeah. And make your house energy efficient and you get your appliances. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I knew most of them. I'll just go on zero.
Oh, God. That was a bomb you dropped right there. I think everybody's gonna go on Section 8 now.
I want to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I think your clients are genius, to be honest with you, because just so everybody understands, you have a buyer, it doesn't have to be a first-time buyer. You can do an FHA loan up to 4 units with 3.5% down.
What?
Yeah.
And if you want to make that even more fun, turn it into
Yeah.
a 203K. I'm in contract right now on a trike.
Yeah, that sounds like super fun.
203K, $150,000, and all the guy's doing is 3.5%. It's smoking hot.
I'll never do it.
Yeah. VA's 100%.
Right, I'm with you.
VA's 100%.
You can use VA.
Okay, that's what one of my.
But you have to live in one of them though, right?
Conventional is a bigger down. FHA though is not. It's 3.5% up to 4 units.
Yeah.
So
MBAs.
they're very smart. If these people are making good decisions, if they're trying to do their first term with that minimal down.
Right, if they live.
My only suggestion though would be that they don't manage it personally,
Yeah.
right? Like hire a Chris, hire a property management company to manage it. but they can use the other rents to offset. Yeah, if you're in the same building, you do not want to be talking to your tenant.
Yeah, don't even tell them.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about tenants now. I'm putting in my kids.
Yeah.
You know, one last thing, you know, the liability is very, very high for landlords, but you know, the old adage that the higher the risk, the higher the return. Well, all these state laws are passing, it raises landlords' risk a lot, and liability a tremendous amount. But look what's happened with rents at the same time, after rents in the last 2 years, they're near double. And so it's this great little, so what you need is some help, man. They should have a manager, at least initially. Maybe they can move over to my association later, where they're just getting some coaching, but they really need to have a manager on board, because there's, you know, a lot of them come in and doing the wrong thing. They're you know, they get referred by my attorney down there in eviction court. We call it the courtroom classroom, where they're learning the rules in the classroom. And the court don't do that. So yeah, you don't want to manage a management company, and that could be a great report.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. All right, so let's move on to, because we only got a couple minutes left. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Angela, who has questions for Angela? I know, Valerie, you never speak. What's happening?
Well, I am in the broker room all the time asking all of my questions. One is cleaning at the closed vestibule. Like, how do we handle that? Because the contract seems kind of vague in terms of like who's supposed to be cleaning the house and how clean does it have to be, and you know, all the rules on that.
So my understanding of that is that for the contract, right, it's the home is in the current condition that the home, when the buyer viewed the home, it's the same current condition. And I have seen where it just needs like a broom swept. Unless it's specified in the contract that you want a professional cleaner, or, you know, seller's gonna pay or buyer to pay, it's just a simple clean. It's not anything that has to be spectacular. Garage broom swept, and that's not detailed, right? So you're supposed to remove all the debris and type of things from the property for the contract. Right, but not everybody does, right? Some people, especially when you're dealing with acreage properties, people will leave things all over the place. So you really, even though the contract stipulates, you still want to kind of verify as to what's going on, because not everybody will follow that contract. We've seen, you know, over the few years now, we've seen where people will have issues where the sellers leave things behind and they don't coordinate to pick their things up. The buyer proceeds to get rid of those things, and then the seller comes back to get those things. I mean, that in of itself can be extremely messy. So definitely, you know, verify the property, make sure you're doing it 5 days prior to make sure that the home's in the same current condition. And then also, if there's certain things that are special to that property, make sure you put it in the contract so it's covered between the buyer and the seller and not left to interpretation of the contract.
I think the cleaning's come up more too since COVID, because people are like, you germ. So that's something you can always do as a closing gift too, like get some house cleaners and pay a couple $100 for it to be clean for them. But I write it in the contract, I especially try to pay attention if there is a seller in possession or seller right back. I'm like, you better have that freaking clean as heck. But even Cindy and I walked into the property that we closed, was that last year?
The dirtiest property I've had was when we just bought from a realtor. The dirtiest one I had all year.
That's not the same one I was talking about. So Cindy and I go at the same time to do our final walkthrough with our client, and she had somehow different training from Brent than I did. I was like, it only has to be broom clean. She was more, she's like, be like this. But what was funny was because she called the realtor and she's like, it's supposed to be like this. And that chick normally does property management, not sales. She had someone over there and fixed it all. But technically they didn't have to, but it worked out well. But yeah, I put it in the contract.
Jen, can you ask Angela about the certificate, like how we can use the certificate idea, the $500 thing?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's okay. So Elizabeth Riley was in here for a women's event last week, and we were at a dinner afterwards, and we were just chatting. And she brought up this great idea. She's supposed to send me. I just asked her to text me a picture of it. She just made it on Canva, like, hey, you know, use me the next time you buy or sell real estate, $500 off, no expiration date, and oh, by the way, you can gift it to someone. I don't see why. Is that a problem, anyways? Is that?
I don't think that's an issue, right? Because you can give a credit to a buyer or a seller. It's as long as it's written up. Traditionally, though, we've seen where agents are trying to get these credits, and there's a certain way that you would want to do it. You're really gonna reduce your commission to the listing side, right? So and then it's gonna become a credit between the buyer and the seller. Seller's gonna give them a credit. Where we see that it becomes a problem is, well, what happened if the buyer has repairs? That's a seller credit and all these other
Yeah,
things, that can be an issue. I mean, you definitely want to make sure you look at the whole picture in it.
But there's nothing wrong with just at least putting out a coupon that just said,
As long as you have all your branding.
the broker,
in place,
yeah, the
right?
broker branding and all of that, but you just
Yep.
giving a coupon with no expiration date, because people are gonna want it, they're gonna stick down the fridge, be like, well,
Absolutely.
when
Well,
I.
and that's the point, right? You're trying to get them to use you the next time you buy or sell, or if somebody else happens to see that. It's just, I mean, it's also, I think you can give the bonuses, but you also have to be careful in it too. So just, use caution. And if you have an idea, just send it to the broker email for us all to review. And then that way we're making sure you're in compliance. So if it happens to go somewhere else, you don't want it advertising to somebody that's already listed, and that can pose an issue. So it's just.
I do put a
being very-
little,
yeah, the
is it still okay to do it? So I know it could.
Absolutely.
If anybody's not tracking with what Angela was just saying, so when we send out letters or postcards or anything, there's like, it's tiny, but it's on there, there's a little asterisk, it just basically says, hey, if you're already in contract with an agent, this is not meant to interfere with that, you disregard, like.
Exactly.
I can't remember the exact word of the disclaimer, but it's on everything I do, because you don't know if you're gonna sit there and look at the list of 200 homes, are you really gonna go check every single home to see if it's already listed, or maybe they have it pre-listed or off market or something, but then there's that your ethics violation. If they're in contract with another realtor and you're like trying to tramp on their ground, you're gonna get in trouble. So always make sure you have disclaimers, so even the coupon, I'll put a disclaimer on it, or whatever. Once I have one done, I'll put it on the team page. I'm just waiting for Elizabeth to give me an example.
So the disclaimer keeps you out of jail?
Well, it keeps you from, and from you interfering with that listing, or you're letting that party know. We've seen it where people will send something and they go, well, wait, this is my listing. Why are you doing this? And they go, well, I didn't know,
Right.
or, right? But by putting that out there, it's less offensive, right? You're not gonna take them off because they're saying, hey, if you're already listed, I understand, I'm backing up. The problem is though, so be aware that even, I just want to say this because we've seen this in the broker room too, when it comes to things like this. Well, the seller reached out to me, they really want me to help you or help them because they really don't like their agent. And so we're going to assist them. Well, at that moment, you have to back down. We've had one agent on our side, a selling agent, list another person's property that was in escrow.
Oh!
Yes,
Oh,
don't do
that's
it.
bad.
Don't do it, never do it. So the thing is that he was interfering with their offer that was already accepted, and he put it on the MLS. How he manipulated the system, but there were two properties. One was in escrow, one was listed. And that particular property, we had to reach out to that agent and get him to back down 100% so that other transaction could go through. But that seller kept reaching out to him because he was saying, oh no, this agent is X, this agent is right. And so he put a halt to the one he's in escrow with. So big no. Always back away. Don't tamper. Out of respect for your fellow agent, make sure you just back away because you don't want that happening to you. It's
And if you are gonna end up with calls that where he just had this happen, it was an agent actually used to be on the team, but I let go. And we have all these mutual friends who lost multiple, she had a listing and the client called me because they were like, oh my God, she's doing something really wrong. And I was like, I literally, you're my friend, love you, care about you, but this is my livelihood for my family, this is how I get 6 babies. So I'm like, if you wanna talk to me, I can't talk to you until you're no longer in contract with them, I can't. And that's really hard because I'm like a helper, right? I wanna fix your problems. But thankfully, they immediately got that canceled. We went through, did like a little mini flip on it, and had it in escrow for like $40,000 more than the other realtor had it listed for. Granted, I may have gone overboard just to prove a point because I'm vengeful. So we got all staged and everything, but you just want to be really cautious that you don't. That's just, you don't want to do anything. And the brokers, that is one of my favorite things about BHP. It is the easiest brokerage ever to get a hold of a broker. 'Cause there's so many of them. You can use Workplace, you can use whatever. Apparently I can tag us all. But it's so, they're so responsive. I don't think people realize how.
And then now we know she lives in Lincoln,
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
can
they're
show
like-
up.
Awesome. All right.
Actually, I don't normally bug Angela. It's poor Debbie Penny that always gets my questions.
All right.
She knows who I am, and so I always bug her.
One last question.
So regarding COVID,
Yes, because I work with a lot of, most all mothers in the Bay Area, so like they still show up wearing masks. They ask me a lot of questions because they are not like us here. Am I still supposed to be posting signs on my listings? Okay, now to me, it seems unethical to ask someone if they've had a shot or not, and whether they have to wear a mask. I feel like I would get more in trouble for being unethical.
See, I feel the same way, right? But we have to follow the guidelines of what CAR is putting out there, right? And what they're saying is one thing, but then in our area, right? So we're in Sacramento, Placer County, and some in El Dorado and Yellow and whatnot. Check those areas, verify if rules are in place, have they changed, right? And if they're not saying, hey, you have to do this, we're gonna follow the guide of CAR and make sure we're following that protocol. So, but my understanding, see, to me, I think you're gonna run into, and I don't know for sure, but HIPAA violations. So if I ask you these questions, now am I embarking on a whole other territory? So I think you have to use extreme caution and go, okay, I have to worry about my liability here, right? And I think if people are protecting themselves, you respect what they're doing, but as a whole, use common sense when you're out there, right? If you are feeling a little unsafe or something, if there's too many people in then minimize certain things as a result, because we're still all, leading back into this, world again, but.
And I don't need to leave my basket full of sanitizers and booties and masks, all that I could.
It hasn't, so I'm trying to go back to the vision of what those, but I'm understanding we're going back to the norm. We're not.
Yeah, so we can use regular open house signs again? or-
Well, yeah, everything's
Yeah.
all back to
It's
the.
It's
But all
posted.
it is, we're able to do it. There's none of that. It's just.
And all the
caution.
COVID forms are gone now too, right?
Yeah.
Cause I was gonna go add in a little CDA, and I was like,
No, we
It's
removed those from the list, so those are completely gone, the lists are updated, they might not be updated, I still have to update them on our little, Sky Slope checklist in the handout for agents, I still need to update them there, but no, they're not a part of the actual checklist, so you don't have to do the listing side of it. If you've got a seller though, I mean, this is where I think caution, maybe it's the question to ask them, how do they feel, right? If they're elderly and it's just common sense, right? But again, you don't want to tamper too much on that, because again, you could be crossing over, but maybe just ask them the questions. Do you have any concerns about COVID as we're, opening things back up, and let them tell you, right? And then go from there.
I don't think as realtors though, in my own opinion, from having known so much about HIPAA and privacy laws and stuff, I would not ask
Never.
anybody, are you vaccinated?
No.
I get-
Especially if you can't do it.
Yeah, but that's like.
What about
asking somebody,
STDs? Yeah. All right. Hey, it's 11:05. It's that time. Thank you so much for coming. Real quick.
Just real quick, if you're going into Sacramento County, use more caution than you do here. Right? The SAR is still a little more weary of COVID.
They've
than
always
last
been
year.
more worried.
Yeah.
So just as a heads up.
Thank you. Hey, real quick, just so we all know, the reason why I asked Angela here is because a lot of people don't realize how accessible our brokers are and how knowledgeable they are and how fantastic they are. Can we give a big round of applause for Angela? Fantastic.
I'll stick around if you guys have any questions or you just want to meet up. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Okay.
All right, now, before we all say goodbye, we are doing, Barry, what's the lunch and learn every Wednesday?
Lunch and learn every Wednesday right here at 12 o'clock, doing EXP traction presentation. So sometimes we do video, sometimes we do it live, whichever one we're feeling like it at that day.
Awesome.
And that's Wednesday, not Friday?
Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. We're booked out for the next 6 months.
Here in this room.
So.
Here in this room. All right, with that, have a fantastic week. Go out and make some money. Thank you, Heather.
Hey, Cindy.